What's up guys, this is Anime Crossover. I'm back with a new episode of What If Naruto Was the Red Flash Part 21. And if you did enjoy the video, you can consider a like, and if you're new on my channel and have my content, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more crossover fictions with a twist. Now let's begin this new video.
Chapter 12. We just opened a whole new can of weird. What about the city center? Whoever said that discovering new lands is exciting is a moron. All of history's famous explorers, such as Marco Polo, Amerigo Vespucci, Ferdinand Magellan, Christopher Columbus, and Sir Walter Raleigh, may be wonderful in some ways for what they explored and progressed history, but this situation is a little different. Naruto and Ronnie were in the process of resolving a world-ending singularity when they wound up in a central city they were unfamiliar with. So, what do you do when you find yourself in an unfamiliar location with no knowledge how to get home? You go into hiding. Are you sure this is such a good idea? Ronnie inquired of Naruto as he gazed around the warehouse. Naruto super sped them to a place where they could think and strategize after they got in the strange central city, and they decided to take a page from the villain's playbook and find an old warehouse. Do you have a better one? Naruto responded as he hurried around the warehouse, cleaning things up as best he could. He completed cleaning and came to a halt next to Ronnie, clapping his hands clean. What is the first rule of landing in a foreign city and having no idea where you are? You hide out till you figure out what occurred and where you are. And we're supposed to do it in an old warehouse. As he sat in an old chair, Ronnie pondered. Dude, this location may be called Central City, but it's not the city we're used to seeing. For one thing, it appears to be from another era, and who knows what else has occurred. Besides, I'm sure many in this city saw the explosion in the sky and us descending, so it's better we stay quiet until we know for sure what's going on, and that should be done somewhere no one can listen in. Naruto motioned to the warehouse where they were. No one's around. Alright, so what's the game plan now? Ronnie inquired. First and foremost, we need to figure out where we are, and I know who will be the first to inquire. Naruto took out his phone and tapped a button, causing Gideon's holographic visage to appear. Hello, Gideon. I'm guessing you don't know where Ronnie and I ended up. You and Mr. Raymond have arrived in the central city of Earth 2, Gideon informed them. Earth 2? Ronnie had no idea what that meant. Gideon, what exactly do you mean by Earth 2? Naruto inquired. The singularity in orbit above Central City was not only a black hole, but also a portal of trans-dimensional energy that opened a path from your Earth to this one. The explosion knocked you and Mr. Raymond through one side of the singularity while knocking Mr. Allen and Professor Stein through the other. So, Barry and the professor have returned home. That's great news. They, as well as Caitlin and the others, are safe, Ronnie stated. Transdimensional energy in a portal to a different Earth. As a result, we are live proof of string theory and multiverse theory. Awesome. Naruto yelled just to see the sight on Ronnie's face. Clears throat, it would be under different circumstances. Multiverse theory? Ronnie was perplexed at this point. He was intelligent, but he wasn't a scientist. The multiverse theory basically states that the world from which we came cannot be the only one in existence. There are thousands, if not millions, if not billions, of other Earths in parallel planes of existence that are completely isolated from one another. For years, scientists have tried but failed to verify string theory and the concept of the multiverse. Naruto made a remark. It is entirely plausible. You spent many years exploring the multiverse and cataloging it as best you could. This is how I know you got to Earth 2. Gideon showed a holographic circular map of different related Earths, each designated with a number. This is your multiverse map, which you constructed in the future with the help of some buddies. You sorted and classified 52 known Earths in the universe at the time of its inception, but you estimate there are more than 1 billion others out there yet to be discovered. Whoa, this thing is heavy, Naruto stated, paraphrasing Doc Brown. And here I thought time travel was complicated enough. Alright, so now we know where we are and how we got here. Can we go back? Ronnie inquired. That is currently unknown, Mr. Raymond. The portal that brought you here has closed, and the process of building another is intricate and currently out of your hands. None of you have any abilities that could open another portal, and Naruto isn't yet fast enough to make one. Wait, speedsters can travel throughout the multiverse? With enough speed, a speedster can accelerate fast enough to vibrate your entire being at a different vibrational trans-dimensional frequency and open up a breach to another Earth. However, doing so now is impossible since you are too slow, and the procedure would kill you. Okay, so much for the simple route home. Is there anything else we can do? Ronnie inquired. I'm afraid I can't. There's a reason why dimensional travel is so difficult. And I imagine that creating another singularity would be stupid, and it might not even take us back to our Earth. Naruto scratched his tired brow, knowing that this would be the problem of the century to solve. So, what are we going to do? I'm not sure, Ronnie, but we'll figure it out. Naruto comforted him. Do you really believe that? Ronnie inquired, and received a nod in answer. I'm afraid I have to. He informed him. In the last year, we've done some pretty incredible things. Some tasks are considered impossible by many, but we have accomplished them. There must be an explanation to all of this, so perhaps we can find one. Right. Okay. Ronnie took a long breath and brushed his thumb over his silver nut and bolt ring. Now, what do we do? Now. We're figuring out everything we can about where we are. Perhaps there is someone here who can assist us. Naruto then examined what he and Ronnie were wearing, particularly him. He was still dressed in the impulse suit. First things first, we need to blend in. A silver and red flash of crimson and white lightning sped out of the warehouse and through the city, passing by vintage cars from the 1940s and 1950s. I guess this planet never progressed beyond the aesthetics of post-World War II America. He slammed into a department shop, spinning the rotating doors like a tornado and sending gusts of wind to impact those he passed. The blur dashed through the apparel aisle, grabbing various clothing items before fleeing the store and sprinting back across the city. So, this is what people wear on Earth? Ronnie inquired as he and Naruto walked down the street in their new outfits. They were dressed in outfits that belonged in the catalog of a 1940s magazine, but it was what they had to wear to blend in. Ronnie was dressed in a black suit and pants with a white button-up, whereas Naruto was dressed similarly but with a dark red shirt and a fedora on his head. Hey, we're trying to blend in, and this is what people wear. Clothing from the 1940s, Naruto informed him. Why the hat? Ronnie inquired. It fits, and, besides, I look good. As they strolled along the street, taking in their new surroundings for the first time, Naruto saw the strange expressions directed at them, mostly those of terror. Is it just me, or are other people afraid of us? Perhaps that's why. Ronnie pointed to a vertically standing TV screen that was carrying a news broadcast with a photo of Ronnie on it and the words "wanted dead or alive" on it. Oh, that'll do. As the two moved closer, Naruto made a remark. Another statement from Mayor Snart on the mysterious blue phenomenon that occurred over our city, stating that the situation is under control and that the CCPD reports no incidents or damage to our city. Citizens are also frightened since our city is still under siege from Zoom and his metahumans, including Deathstorm, Killer Frost, and Reverb, and there has been no word or appearance of the Flash since the unexplained action in the sky. Ronnie's portrait was then shown on the news, along with a white-haired, pale-skinned Caitlin wearing a blue leather jacket and a Cisco wearing goggles and a leather jacket with his hair in a bun. The CCPD has active warrants on these dangerous metas, and citizens are urged to avoid contact with them at all costs and to contact the CCPD. That complicates things. When he saw the glances they were getting, Naruto mumbled, "Let's go." They hurriedly ducked into an alley, where Naruto accelerated them away from their destination. This officially stinks. On this planet, I'm a wanted metahuman. How is this even possible? How can Caitlin and Cisco also be criminals? Ronnie inquired aloud. Wait a minute. Naruto removed his hat and placed it on Ronnie's head before pulling sunglasses from his pocket and putting them on. That's much better, and we're on a different planet, guy. Who knows what else has changed? Definitely, this planet has a star lab, which suggests that something happened to produce metahumans, giving you, Caitlin, and Cisco powers, and you definitely chose to work for this Zoom guy, whoever he is. There are billions of alternative worlds with other versions of you, Caitlin, Cisco, and probably me. But remember, you're unique. Caitlin Snow's husband is Ronnie Raymond. Our Caitlin is not a metahuman or a criminal, and your name is Firestorm, which is far superior to Deathstorm. Right, right. Ronnie took a deep breath before turning to face the building. Kind of an odd place you wanted to stop at first. Dude, we need information, and what better place than the library to get it? Naruto pointed to a massive library that resembled a Capitol Hill structure. Let's go. They strolled in and found it mostly vacant save for the librarians and clerks who were working there, as well as several students. Naruto and Ronnie set up an isolated table in the corner and began gathering all the books they could find in order to learn everything they could, including city logs and information. Naruto even found a computer terminal, and while the entire interface was unfamiliar to him, he soon adapted and had Gideon implant a bug to begin hacking into every computer system in the city. Gideon would soon have access to everything they could possibly require. After a few hours, Naruto was still sitting at the library table, speed reading through the latest science books. This Earth was incredible, and he wasn't afraid to acknowledge that it was more advanced than his own. They had resolved many of the scientific theories that his planet was still grappling with, so his inner science nerd was relieved. When Ronnie returned from the restroom, Naruto was still seated at the table, reading through everything. You're still reading through all of this? Yeah. They may be different from us, but they are certainly smarter. Their educational system must be fantastic. Naruto made a remark. But I think we've covered everything now. Gideon has fully patched most of the city's computer systems, including the CCPDs. The only ones she couldn't get to were those at Star Labs. Ah, I was wondering when we would get to it. So, who is in charge of the Star Labs? This is the world's Harrison Wells. Naruto walked up to the computer and showed Ronnie a photo of Earth 2 Dr. Wells with his late wife Tess Morgan and his daughter Jessica Jessie Wells. It's pretty much the same as it was on our planet, except his body wasn't taken over by the Reverse Flash because he doesn't exist here. At least, that's what I believe. Do you believe Star Labs created metahumans like on our planet? Yup. Star Laboratories does have a particle accelerator online, and the first metahuman sightings began just a few days after it was turned on, so we have something in common. And because to Gideon's hacking into the CCPD, she was able to provide us with some information on whoever this Zoom is. Naruto pushed a few buttons on the screen to access the CCPD's information on Zoom, but there wasn't much. Just a blurry image of a black blob with blue lightning sparkles. But there's not much there. The best I can figure is that he's a speedster who's gone on a killing rampage worthy of Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, and Jack the Ripper. A serial killer on the run. Great. Ronnie said wryly. So, Star Labs is our best bet. To figuring out how to get back home? Definitely. There was nowhere else on the planet that could aid us without imprisoning us for experiments. The only problem would be convincing Harrison Wells to assist us. If we show up and claim to be from another planet, he'll think we're crazy, and I don't exactly have a trustworthy expression. When Ronnie thought of something, he mentioned it. How about you? I'm referring to your Earth 2 version. Is he also working at Star Labs? I thought that at first, but I can't seem to find a record for a Naruto yet. As Gideon brought up anything in the city records, Naruto told him. Perhaps that's why. Naruto opened the file when Ronnie pointed to it, and he wasn't sure how to react. Whoa, I certainly wasn't anticipating this, Naruto thought to himself. The cemetery of Central City. Naruto and Ronnie arrived at the Central City Cemetery, where they discovered Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze's gravestone. This is so strange, staring at your own gravestone even though it's not yours, Naruto exclaimed. Hey, are you alright? Ronnie inquired. Naruto reassured him, yeah, I'm fine. It's just weird. I'm wondering how different our lives were and how things here seem so flipped around and opposite. The date I died is the date my parents died on my Earth. Guess I wasn't the one to walk away from the car accident. When Ronnie heard a car pull up, he gave him a soothing hand on the shoulder as they stared at the gravestone. Someone's coming. They swiftly went away and hid behind the walls of a neighboring crypt to observe who appeared, and Naruto was surprised to see his parents' doppelgangers approach with a fresh bunch of flowers. But that wasn't the most surprising aspect. Who was accompanying them was quite shocking. It was a tiny redhead girl, maybe around 12 years old, clutching his mother's hand. Oh my god. Naruto was honestly at a loss for words, yet those 3 words pretty much summed up how he felt. I think that's my little sister. You have a sister. Here I do, Naruto remarked. seeing his parents and sister place the flowers at his grave. "Those are some lovely flowers, Mito," Kushina murmured as she knelt and kissed her on the cheek. "They look perfect." "You think so? Do you think he'd like them?" she inquired as Minato joined his wife in hugging their daughter. Minato kissed her on the cheek and said, "We know so, honey. Your brother loved you more than anything else, and I'm sure he would have appreciated this." "I miss him," Mito said as Kushina and Minato wrapped their arms around their daughter. "So do we," Kushina said, glancing at her son's gravestone. "But he loved you so much, and if he could see you now, he'd be proud of you just as much as we are." Naruto and Ronnie stood back and watched the confrontation. They were aware that things would be different on this planet, but they were unprepared. After exploring Earth 2's central city and gathering all the information they could, they returned to the warehouse, where Naruto set to work modifying it to make it more comfortable and obtaining food from various businesses. He purchased new beds, clothing, laptops, and lots of food. He was currently sitting at a table with some tools, adjusting a pair of Star Labs smartwatches. "Why are you doing this again?" Ronnie questioned. "Since we're going to be stuck here for a while, it's best if we keep a low profile. I read that Star Labs released new updated smartwatches that allow the user to identify metahumans." Naruto brought one of the watches up to Ronnie, and it began beeping. "Right now, I'm repairing these two watches to relay a signal to other devices, essentially masking our metahuman signature so we can pass undetected. At the very least, it'll make hiding easier." "True, but I can't just walk down the street to get us groceries, and given how much you eat, that's going to be a daily occurrence," Ronnie pointed out. "Very true, which is why I stole all that stuff over there," Naruto said, pointing to a table covered in artificial food. "I'm going to make more of those speedster energy bars Cisco made, but I'm going to improve the formula so they last longer, which should help my metabolism here, and then I'll get to work on the security of this place and make sure no one knows we're here." Look, Naruto, I don't doubt your intelligence, but do you think you can really do all of this? I mean, no offense, but this is a lot for one person, let alone dealing with another planet's technology, which, as you said, is far more advanced than ours, so it's not going to be easy." In disbelief, Naruto held the watch out to him and said, "Done. You're right, it took a few seconds longer to figure out, but it's not that complicated." "How did you do that so fast?" Ronnie wondered as he slid the watch onto his wrist. "Super genius, remember?" Naruto put his watch on his wrist. "And the layout and circuitry for these watches are similar to the ones I had planned to release back on our planet. Onward to the next thing." "Stop for a second, Naruto," Ronnie said. "Look, I appreciate everything you're doing to keep us safe, but is there something else going on? You haven't said much since we got back from the cemetery." "I'm fine, Ronnie. Believe me, I'm just trying to keep busy, and I'm trying to figure out our next move. Going to Star Labs just got a whole lot more complicated. It's not like we can just walk right through the front door," Naruto explained. "And even if we did, I'm pretty sure my face would give my parents a heart attack, given that I'm dead. How will they deal with that?" "And I get it, Naruto," Ronnie said, "but we have to go somewhere eventually." "I know, and I'm putting it off as long as I can. Meeting my parents again would be great under different circumstances, but I promise we'll go to Star Labs to get their help getting home. But for the time being, I'd rather make sure we're set here so there are no more surprises," Naruto said as the computers began to beep. "God, me, and my big mouth. What's that?" Ronnie ran over to see a variety of police feeds and satellite data appear. "As a precaution, I tapped into the CCPD feeds and nearby satellites," Naruto typed on the computer, and the alarm was a metahuman attack downtown. An attack by a metahuman downtown. "Just like our planet," Ronnie remarked. "Hold on, let me tap into the traffic cameras and get a picture," Naruto said, bringing up video camera footage of police officers confronting a metahuman wearing a helmet and a brown armor vest. He was shrugging off gunshots and anything else the cops could hurl at him before expanding to be nearly 30 feet tall. "Whoa. We didn't have a metahuman like him on our planet." "So, is this what Caitlyn and you guys did on a regular basis?" Ronnie inquired. When Naruto witnessed the meta throw a parked automobile at the officers, he said, "More or less. Damn it. Naruto, are you going? Should I? I mean, we need to keep a low profile, but those officers would be dead without backup," Naruto paced back and forth, keeping a low profile and avoiding being recognized in the city as impulse made logical sense, but those folks needed support. Son of a bitch. Ronnie was watching the camera stream and saw the size-shifting Meta toss a burning automobile at a building when he felt a whoosh of air and Naruto and his suit vanished. I suppose that solves the question. Naruto raced through the city as fast as he could because he needed to end this without stopping or being seen. He arrived at the attack with seconds to spare and quickly super sped everyone out of the building and path of the throne burning car, so no one was injured. After saving them, he began racing around the size-changing Meta as fast as he could. The speedster eventually turned the small tornado into a vacuum, and Atom Smasher began to have trouble breathing. He grabbed at his throat as his mask deactivated and tried to gasp for air, but there was none, and he soon passed out and returned to normal size. Ronnie heard another whoosh from behind him and saw Naruto remove his mask and goggles. So much for keeping a low profile, but nice save. Thank you, and yeah, I hate myself for doing that as well, but at least no one died and I didn't stop long enough for anyone to get a clear picture. All they saw was a blur, so we're safe for the time being, Naruto explained. If only he realized how incorrect he was now that two groups of individuals had his attention. Dr. Harrison Wells, CEO of Star Labs, was in his office, watching the news of Atom Smasher's recent capture by a new speedster. One with white and crimson lightning and was very, very fast. The door to his office opened, and in walked Minato and Kushina, his heads of engineering and biology departments, respectively. I assume you both saw the news. It appears we have a new speedster in Central City, stated Dr. Wells. One who appears to be so fast that he captured Atom Smasher by creating a vacuum effect with his speed, rendering him unconscious. Hey, he's fast. Kushina commented as she looked over his tablet at the data she was accumulating on this new speedster. Very quick. Not even the high-speed cameras on the CCPD cars were able to get a clear image. Minato showed them a still on his tablet that showed the white and crimson lightning trail and a blurry image of a silver and red suited figure. From what I was able to calculate, this speedster is capable of going at least Mach 2, if not faster. That's faster than the Flash, Wells replied, smiling at Minato. He could be the speedster fast enough to take down Zoom, Minato speculated. Minato, calm down. As much as I'd like to see Zoom stop, let's not get our hopes up, Wells advised his closest friend. For the past 2 years, Zoom has terrorized our city, says Harrison. We're fortunate that he's never bothered us, but everything we've attempted to stop him has failed. This speedster might be able to do it, and fortunately for us, he lacks the Flash's ego, Kushina pointed out. Let's hope this speedster lives long enough to face Zoom. Is there any information on the black hole that opened up over the city? Wells inquired, and both shook their heads. It appeared and then vanished before our instruments could collect any data. However, we can confirm that nothing bad has leaked out and that the city is safe, Kushina responded. Keep me updated, Wells said, and they both nodded before walking away. A call was put out to certain metahumans for a meeting elsewhere in the city in an abandoned warehouse that served as one of the many hubs for the city's evil metahumans as hiding places. Waiting there were Evil Duo and terrorizing metahumans Deathstorm and Killer Frost, the Earth 2 doppelgangers of Ronnie Raymond and Caitlin Snow. Deathstorm was wearing a black leather uniform with a quantum splicer attached over his chest. Killer Frost was pale-skinned. How long will this meeting last? Killer Frost was perplexed. Why? You have a commitment? Deathstorm inquired, and received a sly smirk in answer. Well, I was thinking about dealing with those idiots who are encroaching on the waterfront, she explained. Sounds like fun. Deathstorm smirked as they heard footsteps and strode Cisco Raymond's Earth 2 doppelganger, Reverb. Dressed in his black leather jacket, special goggles, and hair tied up in a bun, he was a no-nonsense criminal and a far cry from the fun-loving tech at Star Labs. If I didn't know any better, it almost sounds like you two are attempting to take over the waterfront territory, Reverb remarked. You know the waterfront is shared by all of us. You don't want to irritate Zoom. Reverb, relax. We are aware of this. When a whoosh of air and a flicker of blue lightning arrived in the warehouse, Frost told him, we just want to have some fun. Said flicker of blue lightning was the spark of blue lightning from a black-clad speedster with a full mask that covered his entire face. The mask has small slits near the mouth area that resembled a demented smile, and his gloves were adorned with sharp claws for extra terror and killing potential. "Quiet," Zoom said, and everyone in the warehouse quieted down. They all bent their heads in dread and said, "Sorry. What do you require, Zoom?" Reverb inquired, his gaze fixed on his subordinates. "In Central City, a new speedster has arrived. Someone hurry up." "He stopped Atom Smasher," Zoom said. "Send out your best to find him and bring him in alive." "We will," Deathstorm said, only to see Zoom whoosh in front of his face. "I'm alive and well. If he's hurt or killed, you'll be with him," Zoom said before speeding away. XXXXX line break the next day in Central City, word and news of the rescue of police and civilians, as well as the capture of Atom Smasher, were quickly disproved. There was no lens flare that indicated the glare of the silver kettle helmet. The silver and black blur wasn't consistent with the Flash's outfit, and if that wasn't obvious enough, the CCPD hadn't made an official comment. The city had been quiet since Atom Smasher's arrest, but the police were on high alert, believing that it wouldn't be long before another metahuman or Zoom tried something. They weren't the only ones, as Ronnie was keeping himself busy at their new hideout, which had been completely refurbished for him and Naruto to live comfortably, along with a security system to keep them safe. "How are you, Naruto? How is life in the city treating you?" Ronnie inquired, speaking aloud and conversing through an earpiece attached to the Earth 2 smartwatch he was wearing, as well as Naruto's smartwatch and earpiece. Smooth so far," Naruto answered, "but I finally found the Flash." "Alright, that's okay. Perhaps Barry can assist us now," Ronnie said. "Yeah, except that it's not Barry." In the city, Naruto was standing in a park outside of a church in front of a bronze statue of Earth 2's Flash. The suit was different than his or Barry's and seemed to be inspired by a military uniform but did have a lightning bolt on the chest. The statue was of the Flash's arms crossed, and to top it off was a helmet with wingtips on his head, but the strange thing was no mask. "Then who is it?" Ronnie inquired. "Jay Garrick, but here's the weird part. They know who he is. His identity clearly isn't a secret, and that's just stupid. It's basic superhero survival 101. You keep your identity a secret so the bad guys can't find you. I'm surprised Zoom didn't kill him." "Ronnie, can you look up Jay Garrick?" Naruto asked. "Sure, 1 second." Ronnie ran a quick search and found a city file. Jay Garrick. Central City physicist and chemist. Ran a small independent lab called Acceleration Labs. Born and raised in Central City, but there's not much here. This is strange. If Zoom is as fast as people say he is, why would the Flash let his identity be known to everyone? Naruto thought to himself before pulling out his phone and placing it to his ear to talk to Gideon. He didn't need Gideon's holographic face to show up and startle people. "Gideon, do you have any kind of record for a Jay Garrick in your files?" "I do. Jay Garrick, otherwise known as the Flash, is a veteran speedster of the Multiverse. Resident of Earth 3, he has frequently assisted you and Barry in training and dealing with threats of a multiversal level. You and Barry often called him the wise elder of the Flash family due to his years of experience and time with the Speed Force." Gideon explained and brought up a photo of Jay, who looked exactly like Barry's father. "Whoa, what's the deal with the family resemblance?" he inquired. "Jay Garrick is an Earth 3 doppelganger of Henry Allen, Barry's father." "Gideon, do you have any kind of record of a Jay Garrick on Earth 2? "Negative. There is no record of a Jay Garrick of Earth 2. "How about the Flash from Earth 2? "Negative. Earth 2 does not have a Flash. Its resident speedster is Jesse Quick." Gideon showed him a photo of a female red-clad speedster wearing a domino mask. "I have no records of a Flash of Earth 2. "Is it possible that your records are incomplete or damaged?" Naruto asked. "I mean, I'm looking at a statue for a Flash of this Earth." "That's highly unlikely. My records are complete and foolproof, but perhaps the reason for that is the circumstances that led you to find me this early in your career, as well as the general changes to the timeline," Gideon speculated, and Naruto understood what she meant and why things might be different. "Right, because you came from a different future than the one we were in because of Thon's time travel, so you're from an alternate timeline that's slowly merging with ours." "Oh, I think I have a headache now," Naruto wiped his brow. Even with a great brain, all of this was perplexing. Do you have an identity for Zoom? Negative. No identify for Zoom. Figures. Thanks anyway, Gideon. Naruto stowed her and gazed at the Flash statue. Nothing was adding up with any of this. He continued his journey into the city to purchase some supplies before returning to the warehouse, but things became a little more problematic. He was heading out of a store with a bundle of bags when he noticed his mother's Earth 2 doppelganger and sister walking down the street at him. He hastily turned around and sped around a corner, not realizing his mother caught a glimpse of him and froze in amazement. "Mom?" Mito shook her mother's hand, drawing her back. "Are you okay, Mom?" "Yeah, I'm fine. Sorry, Mito. Come on. Let's go." Kushina was leading her daughter down the street to buy some dinner when her smartwatch began to beep. Oh no. A sewage grate on the street exploded, releasing a massive torrent of sand from the sewers, causing automobiles to come to a halt and pedestrians to flee in terror. Kushina grabbed Mito and ran as the sand formed and collected together, revealing itself to be a human. This was Sand Demon, an Earth 2 metahuman. Cops from the nearby SCPD hauled out their rifles and aimed them at the metahuman, only for a green blast of radioactive energy to melt their weapons and knock them back. Another metahuman entered the street, dressed in jeans and a leather jacket, but the most apparent feature of his appearance was that his head wasn't precisely a head. All that could be seen was a human skull burning with a green glow. Atomic Skull is an Earth 2 metahuman. He and Sand Demon were two of Central City's most ferocious metahumans and Zoom devotees. "Greetings, Central City," exclaimed Sand Demon. "Normally, terrorizing you would be just as enjoyable as it is, but instead, we have something special planned for all of you." Sand Demon extended his arm, transforming it into sand and stretching it to a nearby automobile, which he grabbed up and tossed down the street. As more SCPD cars came on the scene, the civilians fled in horror. Atomic Skull opened his jaws and blasted the cars with atomic energy, causing them to swerve to a stop or smash. A few officers emerged and opened fire, but Sand Demon just raised a shield to protect himself and Atomic Skull. Skull then unleashed a series of energy blasts that melted their weapons. "The SCPD aren't fun to mess with anymore. We want a challenge," yelled Sand Demon. "We want the new speedster who showed up in Central City. He better show up or it's going to get really nasty here." Atomic Skull launched another blast, this time attempting to burn a cop alive, only to have the cop whisked away to safety. A rushing blur soon moved the other cops out of harm's way. At long last, something interesting. Atomic Skull began firing green radioactive energy bolts at the speedster, but they kept missing. The speedster sprinted around the two evil metahumans in a zigzag and unpredictable running pattern, allowing him to avoid capture. As he raced around the metahumans, he also whisked away surrounding bystanders and took them to safety, keeping them safe from the sand and radiation. Sand Demon and Atomic Skull tried to capture him, but they couldn't keep up with him because he was faster than the Flash and didn't stop to chat or say anything. After delivering all of the bystanders to safety, the speedster came to a stop in the middle of the street, but he was vibrating his body at such high speed that he was a blur of silver, black, and red. "There he is. You're fast, speedster. Let's find out how fast." Sand Demon hurled a sand fist at him but missed as the speedster rushed to the side and spun his arms at super speed to form wind funnels. Wind funnels forced Atomic Skull backwards, causing the flames on his skull to flicker as Sand Demon was blown aside. Skull unleashed a concentrated blast at the speedster, but he avoided yet again, so he continued to hit the speedster one after the other to keep him moving. Sand Demon slithered around on the ground with his sand before recreating his body down the street, trapping the speedster between him and Atomic Skull. Sand Demon extended his sand arms to seize the speedster while Atomic Skull blasted a devastating atomic blast that only made matters worse. The speedster delayed until the last nanosecond to avoid the atomic energy explosion that hit Sand Demon and instantly turned his enormous sand arms into glass. "Ah!" Sand Demon screamed in agony and horror as his now glass arms shattered onto the street, leaving him vulnerable to a quick right punch to the jaw and then a strong uppercut to the face that knocked him unconscious. Crap. When Atomic Skull saw Sand Demon fall, he fired another energy blast, but it missed as the speedster began racing around him. "Nice try, speedster. That may have worked for Atom Smasher, but not on me." Skull unleashed an atomic energy blast on the ground, causing a shockwave that struck the speedster and sending him smashing into a light pole. The speedster briefly stopped vibrating so Skull could see what his suit looked like in the spiky blonde hair on his head, but he managed to climb to a knee and resumed vibrating so he couldn't see his face. Skull unleashed another shot, thinking he had a chance when the speedster got to his feet and wobbled slightly to the left. Skull's energy blast struck the speedster as he wobbled in front of a fire hydrant, which he immediately sped away from. The hydrant vaporized, releasing a stream of water, which was exactly what the speedster desired. He started rotating his arms again, and the wind funnels unleashed a hurricane-like stream of water at Skull. As Atomic Skull strained against the torrent of water that seemed like a fire hose, he heard the sizzle of evaporating water and a plume of strong steam began to spread about him. Despite Atomic Skull's natural strong heat from his fire skull, the torrent of water and wind proved too much for him, and he fell. The wind and the power of the water threw him across the street, where he collided with a car. He was knocked unconscious as a result of the overwhelming amount of water he was hit with. Once out, the speedster swiftly found something to stop the water from escaping before grabbing some nearby rope and tying Skull and Sand Demon together before fleeing in a whoosh. When the cops returned to the street and discovered both metahumans vanquished, they promptly detained them and placed power-dampening cuffs on them before arresting them. Central City residents witnessed yet another saving from their mystery speedster, but no one understood who he was or what he was doing here. Kushina, who was taken away to safety with Mito, was impressed by his speed and speculated that he might be able to stop Zoom. Ronnie was at the warehouse, reviewing the police feed and street camera footage of the city's metahuman attack. When Atomic Skull and Sand Demon were being hauled into police custody, he felt a whoosh of air sweep by him, knocking over several papers. "I wonder if Caitlin ever got used to the whole paper flying thing," Ronnie remarked as Naruto set the supply bags on a table. "She did," Naruto said, pulling his mask down and removing some of the supplies from the bags. "This planet's metahumans aren't holding back, and they're not afraid to show off and use their abilities." "Yeah, and they've got some pretty powerful ones." "The guy's head was on fire," Ronnie explained. "I mean, how is that even possible?" "I'm not sure, but it was radiation in the form of fire. My suit picked up serious Geiger readings during the fight. Luckily, no one was hurt, and I also managed to subdue that sand one," Naruto explained. "Unfortunately, he experienced what it's like to turn sand into glass." "Nicely done," Ronnie said, "although the fact that they were there for you is a little concerning. It won't be long before the other metas in the city come after you, including this Zoom guy." "I know. We're on borrowed time, and it won't be long before they try something else," Naruto said as he walked over and grabbed a high-calorie, energy speedster bar. "Stay here, Ronnie. I'll be right back." "Where are you going?" Ronnie was curious. "I'm going to Starling City to check on something," Naruto explained. "Call me if there's an issue." "Wait, are you sure that's a good?" Ronnie was cut short as Naruto sped away. "That's starting to irritate me." XXXXX line break Earth 2, Star City. Naruto came to a halt on the outskirts of Starling City, where a welcome sign was posted on the side of the major road leading in, but it was referred to as Star City. Looking at the metropolis from a distance, it appeared similar to the one on his planet, yet it was just as different as the new central metropolis, which showed evidence of repair following some major devastation. He sped into town and arrived at Verdant, where things began to get strange. The position and appearance of the building were identical to his Earth. The name was the only thing that was different. Oliver's Gambit was used instead of Verdant. Other things in the city were different, such as seeing the Smoke Technology building, although Queen Consolidated was still standing, which was a good thing. He entered the alley behind the club, and his goggles picked up the electronic signature of the heavy-duty security system inside, which he had overcome to gain entry. He climbed down the bunker's steps and noticed that it was run down and barely held together. In the corner, there was a table with computer monitors linked to the city-wide video system, as well as a gurney and some medical equipment, but it was everything else that caught his attention. A table piled high with C4 explosives and bottles of aged wine and whiskey. A table next to it held numerous arrowheads, knives, ammunition, and weapons. He moved over to the tables and noticed an old photograph of the Queen family. Robert, Moira, Oliver, and Thea are among the characters. He reached over to pick it up when he was hit in the back of the head and thrown against the gurney. Naruto regained his composure as he noticed the arrow standing there with an arrow strung back on his bow and aimed directly at his head. "How did you get into here? Who are you? I know you'll think I'm crazy, but I'm not here to hurt you or cause trouble, Oliver." Naruto swore only to see the arrow flying straight for him and escape it at the last second. He rolled over the gurney to avoid another arrow before the archer charged, using the bow like a baston battle club. Naruto blocked and parried all of the punches, kicks, and bow strikes, noting how like he fought to Oliver from his world, but there was one major difference. This arrow used greater force and hostility. He ducked a bow swing to the head only to be seized by the shoulders, where he immediately used his arms to parry multiple knee strikes to the face. He seized the archer's leg and spun them to the ground after the sixth knee block. Naruto rose to his feet with a kip up and instantly blocked and locked the arrow's bowhand. "Oliver, stop. I'm a friend," Naruto pleaded as he wrestled him to the ground and removed his hood, only to reveal an elderly male with gray hair mixed in with his brown and black grease paint over his eyes, just like Oliver. Naruto was elbowed in the stomach before being thrown over his hip to the ground and smacked in the face before grabbing his bow and drawing another arrow from his quiver and pulling it back. Naruto rose to his feet and placed his palms out in front of him in case something happened. "How do you know Oliver? How did you get in here?" he exclaimed as Naruto finally recognized him. That's when he realized how different this planet's Starling City was from his own. "Oliver didn't survive the wreckage of the Queen's Gambit. You did. You're Robert Queen. You're his father," Naruto said as he rose to his feet. "I'm not here to hurt you, and I don't want to cause you any trouble, Mr. Queen. Start talking or this arrow will go straight into your eye," Robert had forewarned him. "You won't believe me when I say I'm a speedster like Zoom but a good guy from another planet. I know Oliver because we're friends." Naruto merely instructed Robert to fire the arrow. He grasped it in his palms but noticed the weighty steel tip. "Ah, shit." The arrow exploded in a dazzling blaze of light and sparks, knocking him into the air and landing on a table. His ears rang, his head hurt, and his ribs ached, but nothing that wouldn't go away in an hour. When Naruto managed to bring out his phone, Robert walked over and drew out another arrow to knock him down. "Gideon, take a picture of me and Ollie right now," he yelled, and Gideon showed him Oliver, Diggle, Felicity, and Laurel in the bunker. That alone caused Robert to freeze. Oliver, in disbelief, Robert dropped his bow and stared at the holographic photo. As I previously stated, Naruto rose to his feet and clutched his side in anguish. "I'm not from this planet. And I know your kid, the arrow of my Earth. Who in the hell are you?" When Robert inquired, Naruto began to explain everything. How he came from another planet and wound up in Central City on this one, with no way back, and how he's been dealing with the metas of Central City. He also informed him about Oliver and Thea from his Earth, and how Oliver survived the Queen's Gambit sinking and returned to Starling City as the arrow to keep his city safe. Robert approached a table and took a picture frame of his family. And, according to Oliver, he and Thea are safe in Starling. He's assembled a squad to assist in keeping the city safe. He'd make you proud, Naruto informed him. "Oliver made wiser decisions than I did." Robert muttered something. "He's had his missteps, too, but he's managed to pull himself up with the help of his friends and family." Naruto elaborated. "You are responsible for a lot of what he's done and who he is now. You pushed him to improve." If only the opposite were true. Robert poured himself a cup of scotch from the bottle. "As you can see, I don't have as good a handle on this as Oliver does. Since the island, nothing has been the same. Oliver made plenty of mistakes when he first started, and he's had his fair share of detractors." Naruto brought this up. "Not at all like me. I've made plenty of blunders, both with and without the hood." Robert drank the scotch swiftly and let the alcohol burn in his mouth. "Why did you come here?" "Part of it was to see what was going on with this planet's version of Starling, but part of it was to get something. I require assistance from Queen Consolidated's Applied Sciences Division. It's to create something that will assist me in stopping Zoom," Naruto informed him. "I checked, and Queen Consolidated has been working on nanobot and advanced nanotech research. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been out of the loop with my own company." As he poured himself another cup of scotch, Robert said, Not long after I returned from Lien Yu, Moira and the board of directors forced me out. It's difficult to maintain the city safe while also serving as CEO. And now they've taken it and transformed it into everything I oppose. The board focuses on weapon development to line its wallets while eliminating resources to serve the city, and my wife also assists them. You don't sound like you've given up. Robert scoffed as Naruto commented. What if I have? What? You're going to tell me that it's my responsibility to keep fighting, to save people I don't know and to defend a city and police officers that despise me? I lost my son to Malcolm Merlin, my daughter to vertigo, and my wife abandoned me while she believed I was dead. I put on the hood and head outside, but for what purpose? Because it's my job, and heroes do it. In betterment and rage, Robert drank his scotch. No, because it's what your son and daughter would want, and it's a way to honor their memory. Naruto told him outright. When Oliver first arrived on my planet, he told me that everything he did was to honor your memory and right your wrongs. And he did all of this despite learning everything he could about you. He informed me you weren't the man he'd known his entire life. The prosperous entrepreneur, the devoted father and husband. He discovered how many blunders and stupid decisions you made when the Queen's Gambit failed. You dug yourself so deep that there was no way out, and you forced your son to take up your problem and rectify your wrongs. What's your point? Robert inquired, concerned that a parallel version had done the same thing to his parallel son. My point is that Oliver chose to take on your crusade because you knew he could handle it, shoulder the responsibility, and set things right no matter what happened. You did everything you could to make things right, but it cost you your life and Oliver 5 years in torment. But he fights on because he knows it's what you'd want and because he wants to honor the man he knew you could be. That is why you continue to fight, and why we continue to fight. We struggle to honor those who sacrificed all for us. For your son and daughter, who meant everything to you and left this world far too soon. And we work to ensure that this does not happen to anyone else. That is the reason we do what we do. Naruto told him, and part of what he said seemed to sink in. Listen, I can't make you do anything. This is your city, and it isn't even my planet. But, if your Oliver were anything like mine, he would never give up. Naruto realized that was all he was getting from Robert and turned to walk away. Southeast corner, Robert remarked, causing Naruto to pause for a while. In the southeast corner of the Applied Science warehouse, there is a false wall. You can use that to get entry. Naruto answered before speeding away, thank you. When Robert picked up the old family portrait, he put his scotch glass down and cleaned up the mess. He stroked his finger across Oliver and Thea, recalling happy times before everything went wrong and how he couldn't save his children. When his police scanner picked up news of a jewelry store heist, Robert dropped the photo and grabbed up his bow off the ground. He buttoned up his jacket, took some extra arrows for his quiver, pulled his hoodie up, and walked away. XXXXX line break with a crimson and white lightning trail. A racing crimson and silver blur sped across Starling City. Wind gusts blow past passers-by on the street, leaving many to ask what the hell blasted past them. Those who saw the blur race down the street and heard the news about what was going on in Central City assumed it was the new speedster that had appeared a few days before. But what on earth was he doing in Star City? The Queen Consolidated Applied Sciences building appeared to be a small 3-story warehouse, but it was clean, modern, and the company's bread and butter, complete with a top-of-the-line security system and security crew. With Moira Queen's consent and leadership, the board of directors began pushing the business into more serious weapons development. The kind of weapon development that earns a business the label of warmonger and a less-than-stellar reputation. Queen Consolidated was one of the country's largest arms contractors, but accusations circulated that they also profited from selling to anyone who could pay. However, all inquiries failed, and the rumor was that Queen Consolidated had some kind of secret muscle working for them to solve their difficulties. Motion sensors, high-tech cameras, and privately paid security officers were strategically placed throughout the Applied Sciences building. 2 guards walked through one section of the southeast boundary, and another 2 guards were about to walk past in a minute, when a racing blur raced up to the wall and pushed against it. The wall pushed him inside, and he slipped in and slammed the door behind him as the guards passed by. Once inside, he followed the secret pathway and pushed another false wall through, revealing the white-tiled and blue-tinted pristine surroundings of the Applied Sciences division. Desks and workstations were arranged around massive, secure containers containing all Queen consolidated projects, the majority of which were weapons. He witnessed the development of new assault rifles, pistols, and other basic weaponry, as well as explosives, armor, and vehicle designs. But then things became morbid because they were developing new biological agents, chemical weapons, and he even saw designs and data for a new type of nuclear bomb. Jesus Christ! Naruto was astounded by what he was witnessing. This planet's Queen Consolidated was about to open Pandora's box. He took out his phone and successfully connected it to the Queen Consolidated computer network. Gideon, copy everything and then erase everything. These weapons are far too lethal in the wrong hands. I'm already working on it, she responded as he noticed all of their machines crashing before code prompts appeared, and Gideon began downloading and then deleting everything. I've also obtained funding from the applied science. What do you want to do? Make some creative contributions to people in need and nice charities. We'll take a page from Oliver's playbook, Naruto told her, leaving Gideon to finish her work while he went around looking for what he required. He eventually located a large sealed clean case that held 16 cylindrical tube containers after some searching. The containers were linked to powerful magnetic disruptors, which kept the nanites in the middle in an amorphous condition and in constant flux. An adequate nanite containment unit, albeit a little amateurish. He decided to make things easier by vibrating his right hand to phase it through the clean casing, which featured a severe lock with fingerprint access and 3 layers of encryption. Slowly, he phased his hand through the case and passed all of the security beams to grab 2 nanite containers, which he likewise started phasing and then pulled out. He immediately slid them into his belt before phasing his hand to collect another 2 canisters, bringing his total to 4. He double-checked his belt for the 4 containers before examining the computers to ensure Gideon's hack was running properly, which it was. Within a few minutes, the entire computer network of applied science would be destroyed. Gideon let out an alert beep into his earpiece as he was prepared to pack up and go. Naruto, incoming. Something snagged and yanked his leg, forcing him to collapse and be dragged up into the air, where he saw an armored person march over with a sword and swipe. Naruto caught the blade, elbowed his opponent in the face, and took his sword, which he used to cut the cord that was restraining his leg. He landed in a squat, put the blade aside, and spotted his opponent, immediately recognizing the orange hue and split helmet he was wearing. A slim black and orange armored suit, a .50 caliber pistol strapped to his thigh, multiple knives tucked into his belt and ankle holsters, a single-shot shotgun pistol hidden behind his back, and a shotgun shell bandolier placed into his left shoulder pad. A collapsed bow staff was holstered next to 2 katanas, one of which was now missing from his back. Finally, a black and orange helmet split down the center with the right eyehole covered. The Terminator, Deathstroke. Naruto and Deathstroke stalked around each other, assessing each other. Deathstroke drew his second katana and pointed it at Naruto. It appears as if the game is over before it even begins. I'm not one to play games, Slade. Naruto clenched his fists. I didn't hire Deathstroke as a security guard. Have you really fallen, or is Slade Wilson just slumming it now? Slade, I once knew a Slade Wilson. I killed him after he gave me a small token. Before sheathing his katana and pulling out his bow staff, Deathstroke stroked his finger along the concealed eyehole on the right side of his mask. The reward for killing you will make this even sweeter. Or maybe I'll leave you alive for Queen Consolidated to make some more cash. Deathstroke twisted and swung his bow staff, but Naruto blocked and parried his blow, which was deflected by the bow staff. Naruto pushed him back and delivered a crescent kick to his face. Deathstroke recovered and threw the bow staff down from above, which Naruto stopped with his forearm before unleashing another push kick that was dodged. Deathstroke performed a 1080 butterfly spin and lowered his staff while Naruto sidestepped it and threw a sidekick that was blocked, as well as a right jab. He then fell back to escape a bow staff attack, grabbed the staff, and shoulder smashed Deathstroke forward before launching an avoided hook kick. Deathstroke rolled to escape being kicked and drew out his revolver, only to have it booted out of his grasp, followed by a roundhouse kick to the helmet, causing him to wobble. Naruto grasped Deathstroke's staff and then backed up, knocking him to the ground, but soon rose to his feet and attacked. Naruto had to use his forearms and fists to parry a torrent of staff attacks. Deathstroke's armor was comprised of Kevlar, titanium tri-weave, yet his additional strength made him feel it. As Deathstroke threw down a flashbang, Naruto saw an opening and stomach punched him before doing another push kick. Naruto pushed through the blinding brightness and ringing in his ears to lift his arms to his head and deflect Deathstroke's barrage of strikes. Naruto was able to keep up with Deathstroke before grabbing the staff, moving it to the side, and headbutting the mercenary in the face, where he attacked with his own flurry of punches and strikes to his face and torso before finishing it with a lunging punch that knocked off the helmet. Naruto got his first clear look at his Deathstroke, and it wasn't the one from his Earth. He was older, with graying hair and the same eye patch over his right eye. Deathstroke yelled angrily as he swung his staff and attacked again, turning over Naruto's back to strike him from behind, but Naruto was able to block and parry everything while counter-attacking. A left block, a parry to the face, a jab to the stomach, a knee block to a staff attack to the stomach, a sidestep to a staff lunge to the head, and a push kick for some distance. While Deathstroke was most likely more trained and had improved human powers, Naruto was faster and had some training as well. Deathstroke blocked Naruto's right cross and parried it, allowing him to strike at Naruto's head, which he blocked before spinning his staff to his side, but Naruto's elbow stopped him. Deathstroke then jumped into the air with a spin and brought his bow staff down hard with an overhead swing, but Naruto caught it and flung him into a table. Deathstroke rolled from the contact, tossing a knife in the process, which Naruto Matrix averted at the last second. Naruto charged Deathstroke, grabbing his staff and rolling over him before kicking him in the back. Deathstroke delivered yet another jumping spinning overhead slam, which Naruto deflected with a knee to the face before parrying numerous punches and crouching to avoid a jumping tornado spin. Deathstroke threw his bow staff in a broad arc, allowing Naruto to keep low and grasp Deathstroke by the waist before slamming him to the ground. Deathstroke did a kip up and charged forward, doing another flurry of bow staff strikes that Naruto blocked and parried before catching the staff, threw out an elbow to his shoulder, and then several quick Wing Chun-like strikes to his chest and face thanks to Jiraiya's training. Deathstroke tried to hit Naruto in the face with his staff, but he grabbed it and kicked him away, so he had it. He then broke it in two by bringing it over his knee. Deathstroke unsheathed his katana and took his stance before lunging towards Naruto, who sidestepped and then backstepped to evade a slash that managed to skim and slice a portion of his suit. Naruto snatched Deathstroke's arm and tossed him to the ground, nailing him with a roundhouse kick to the face but missing his push kick as Deathstroke dove and dodged the sword. Then he parried a jumping back kick to the chest, followed by a left and right hook that Deathstroke ducked under and slashed with his sword. Naruto grabbed his arm and pushed him to the ground before delivering a spinning hook kick to his chest. Deathstroke whirled his blade to slash Naruto in half, but he caught the sword in the middle in his hands at the last second. Deathstroke inched the blade closer and closer until Naruto hit him with a knee to the crotch, an elbow to the chin, and then a spinning back kick to the gut that left him falling back. Deathstroke swung his blade upward, which Naruto caught with one hand and uppercut with the other. The uppercut stagger allowed Naruto to grab Deathstroke's katana and crush the pommel in his nose before a hard push kick pushed him into a wall. "It's finished, Deathstroke. You were defeated," Naruto told him, huffing slightly from the most intense hand-to-hand fight he'd ever had. "What exactly are you?" Deathstroke demanded angrily. "Raw." Naruto hurled the katana into the wall directly near to his head, drawing his attention. He then attacked him with a left uppercut to the jaw, which bounced him back into the wall, before finishing with a tornado kick to the skull, which knocked Deathstroke out like a light. Naruto double-checked to make sure he was out, then slammed his head into the ground for good measure. "I'm a bit complicated." He took all of Deathstroke's weapons and gear and bound him with Deathstroke's own polymer cords. When he heard several assault rifles click and saw an 8-man Queen Consolidated security team leveling their guns at him, he propped Deathstroke up. "Don't move," one of the guards informed him. "We'll make this quick." "Sorry, but we have other plans," Naruto responded. "We?" When an arrow landed in front of them and exploded in a blinding flash of light and a loud sound, a guard inquired. They were all taken down by the arrow after several grunts and shouts. "You're running late," Naruto said this as Robert approached, kicking one of the guards in the gut. "You knew I was coming?" Robert inquired. I was hoping, Naruto said, looking down at Deathstroke. That's not terrible, kid. Deathstroke is not for the faint of heart. I'm among them. Robert stated. I'm Billy Wintergreen. He met him on Lien Yu while working for a company called Fires. When I offered him a better deal, he jumped ship. That was a blunder, and I should have murdered him at the time. He's given me a lot of trouble. Including working for Queen Consolidated to keep this place safe. Naruto examined the weapons and checked his phone to see if Gideon's hack had been completed. I wiped their servers, but we can't let them keep these things. It's not going to be a problem. Robert reassured him as he took out many explosive arrows and placed them on timers across the facility, particularly near tanks of gas or explosive chemicals. They hauled all of the guards and Deathstroke out of the building and secured them before leaving. Robert and Naruto waited a few more seconds on the roof of a building across the street until the entire Applied Sciences building went up in smoke and fire. Because of specific ingredients, some of the flames was green or purple, but it was hot and fierce enough that nothing survived. Queen Consolidated's ambitions have been put back slightly. Well done, young man. Oliver did an excellent job training you, Robert informed him. Thank you. Naruto responded. What will you do now? That's all I can do. Continue fighting as Oliver and Thea would have wanted. Robert stated. Look after yourself, youngster. Zoom is no laughing matter. He has that city terrified for a reason. I will. You keep an eye on yourself out there. Naruto said this as Robert dug into his pocket and pulled out an envelope bearing Oliver and Thea's names. When you get back to your Earth, give this to Oliver and Thea. Naruto nodded as Robert spoke. I will keep my promise. Naruto slid the envelope into his belt and shook hands with Robert. Take care, Mr. Queen. Robert nodded before drawing a grappling arrow and shooting it at a nearby building to free himself. Naruto smiled as he strapped the nanites to his belt and sped back to Central City. XXXXX line break. Naruto was in the warehouse hideout he and Ronnie had built up since their arrival on Earth 2 a few days after leaving for Star City. Things continued to calm down in Central Population, and no additional metahuman attacks occurred, but a lot of the population was still searching into the new speedster since the Flash had not appeared. Was he a new speedster, and if so, where had he been for the previous 2 years? Naruto and Ronnie were at a workstation, constructing speed-dampening nanites as a defense against Zoom. It was similar to the one they used on Thon, and it would work on Zoom if he was a speedy. Along with the nanites, they created some new energy bars with a different formula to last longer, a new pair of Naruto's repulsor gauntlets that were much less bulky, and he even made an Icer shotgun for Ronnie because he didn't have his firestorm powers. Naruto was coding at a computer with one of the nanites containers connected, programming them and then working on having to change their structure to emit the pulse to counter speed. Ronnie was transforming the nanite's payload device into customized darts for delivery. While they were doing that, Gideon was calculating how they could potentially return to Earth 1. Okay, the darts should be ready to go. Ronnie informed Naruto as he loaded one of them with water to test the delivery system. We could fire these from the Icer, or you could just stick Zoom with them if you get close enough. Sounds good, but getting too close to a speedster is usually a bad idea, and given that this Zoom is practically Hannibal Lecter, staying away is our best bet. Naruto responded, unplugging the nanites from the computer before becoming a blur at another table adjusting the nanites to emit the pulse he required. Ronnie drank his coffee as he watched Naruto hurry through precise and thorough work that would have taken at least 2 months for a team of scientists. Naruto completed the nanites adjustment in around 3 minutes. There, done. He stepped over to the dart and poured a few nanites into it before closing it shut. All that remains is to put it to the test. Would you like to help? Ronnie was perplexed. No, this should work fine. The trick now is to wait for Zoom to appear. Naruto reprimanded him. Now that we've figured out how to deal with Zoom, all we need is a way home. Have you had any luck, Gideon? Not at the moment. Gideon demonstrated the calculations she performed, and none of the models provided a conclusive strategy for opening a breach to get home. Alright, fair enough. Gideon's only option right now is to detonate a nuclear bomb close to the city's power grid. Naruto proposed. That would be terrible. Is that the only option? Ronnie inquired. Aside from that, we'd have to increase my speed. Gideon has designs for a Tachyon speed enhancer similar to the one Thon used, But we lack the necessary materials. Naruto responded when they heard a beep and realized something was approaching the border. We've got some company. Ronnie grabbed the Icer shotgun as Naruto dashed to a computer and erased what they were doing before donning his impulse suit. He then slid the nanite dart into his belt and put on his repulsor gauntlets, ready to combat any metas that came after them. A powerful sonic scream burst apart the warehouse's south wall, forcing Naruto and Ronnie to hide their ears for a brief while before Naruto launched a repulsor blast. The thud indicated he had struck something, but the dust and lighting made it difficult to tell who, so two more metahumans charged through the opening. Two men, one with electrically charged hands and the other with bright red eyes. As Ronnie kicked a desk over for cover and blasted the laser eye meta in the chest with the Icer shotgun, they fired electricity from his hands and red lasers from his eyes. It was strong enough to knock him out and knock him out cold. Naruto hit Ronnie in the leg with a repulsor blast, throwing him into a dizzying spin before the lightning meta could fry him. The meta sprang up again, only for Naruto to blast him again, this time in the back, knocking him into the wall. Naruto sucker punched him in the nose, kneed him in the belly, and then fired a repulsor blast point blank into his chest, sending him tumbling into a table. Naruto was smacked in the back by a gust of wind and rolled to the ground, only to see another meta using his hands to control the wind. When he was blasted in the back by Ronnie and put unconscious, he brought his palms up and formed the wind into a sharp sword to sever Naruto's skull. I'm really liking this thing. When section of the north wall burned red before being vaporized, Ronnie ejected an Icer shell and pulled Naruto back to his feet. The areas surrounding the opening were on fire, and Deathstorm, Ronnie's Earth 2 doppelganger, came in. Alright, isn't that a dashing devil? It's like staring at yourself in the mirror. Ronnie sighed in disdain as Deathstorm grinned. Yeah, it's a twisted funhouse mirror, Ronnie stated as he pointed his revolver at his demonic doppelganger. And the fun doesn't stop there. A cool breeze came in and extinguished the flames surrounding the opening before Caitlin's Earth 2 doppelganger, Killer Frost, walked in. Killing always makes me smile. Great, evil Caitlin is here. When a brilliant red scythe carved a large hole in another wall and a vibratory blast blew it open, Naruto mumbled. When Naruto sped up to the side, the debris almost hit Ronnie. Vibe metapower has been detected. Gideon summoned Naruto, and instrode Cisco's Earth 2 counterpart, Reverb, along with a man in armor and mask holding a bright energy scythe. And the gang's all together, Ronnie stated as he prepared the Icer shotgun. We've been looking everywhere for you too. As he walked in, Reverb stated, it took some effort to track you two down, but it wasn't difficult. No, not to me. You may have defeated Atomic Skull and Sand Demon, but we're not going down easily, Deathstorm declared. And, after our run-ins with the Flash, taking you is going to be a lot of fun. But don't give up. Fight. It'll be much more exciting when we win and take you to Zoom, according to Killer Frost. So, Zoom has you scumbag lackeys fighting for him? I've lost some respect for him, Naruto boasted as he took a few steps nearer, winking at Ronnie. I mean, if he's as bad as everyone in town claims he is, why did he send you idiots? I'd already dealt with the 4 would-be assassins who tried to ambush us. I believe I can handle you 4. Tough talk for a racer. The Flash had the same thoughts as you, but he was never able to stop us. As Ronnie cautiously stalked over to the wall where a lever was positioned, Reverb said. Yeah, well, you'll find out there's a distinct difference between that other speedster and me. Naruto brought this up. And what's that? Killer Frost was perplexed. I like to play dirty. As Ronnie pulled the lever, the sprinkler system activated, raining liquid that didn't smell or feel like water. Naruto rushed forward, and his lightning path ignited the liquid on the ground, quickly engulfing the warehouse in flames. He snatched Ronnie and whatever else was salvageable from the warehouse, stuffed it into a bag, and dashed out the door as the raging inferno collided with some chemicals spread around and blew the building to hell. Naruto and Ronnie skidded to a halt a few blocks away as they watched the flame in the moment. Nice. Ronnie made a remark. And you thought the fire trap was overkill. If it didn't roast them, it certainly erased all evidence of what we were doing. When he spotted a fireball going right for them, Naruto exclaimed, "Be careful." He pushed Ronnie aside and took the fireball square in the chest, knocking him to the ground. Ronnie looked up to see Deathstorm swooping through the air, carrying Killer Frost on his back. Except for some scorched damage on their clothing, they escaped the warehouse explosion unscathed. Ronnie fired a couple shots from his Icer shotgun, causing Deathstorm to spin through the air before landing on the ground and Killer Frost to get off his back. Naruto grunted in pain and managed to get back to his feet. She hurled icicles from her hand at Ronnie, who rolled out of the way, escaping 4 of them but being hit in the leg by the 5th. Shit. Ronnie collapsed to the ground, clutching his leg in agony as Killer Frost approached, an ice knife in her left hand. Seems like a shame to hurt such a pretty face, but sorry, Breacher. Zoom only wants the speedster. She reared her hand back to stab him in the heart when Naruto's shoulder slammed her at super speed, sending her tumbling across the ground. Catch. Ronnie tossed the Icer to Naruto and blasted Killer Frost in the chest, knocking her out. You're dead. Deathstorm said as he ignited his skull and hurled a fireball that Naruto managed to avoid. Deathstorm began hurling fireballs at Naruto, lifting Ronnie off the ground and hurling him over to a neighboring alley. Stay here, Naruto said, leaning against the wall with the Icer shotgun in the bag of salvaged stuff before racing back to deal with Deathstorm. Is that all you've got? You can't hit the backside of a barn with that accuracy. I'm gonna enjoy killing you. Deathstorm began shooting fireball after fireball, which worked about as well as you'd expect against a speedster, with him missing every single one. Naruto began driving around to make Deathstorm's target tougher to hit before coming to a halt and firing a repulsor blast. Deathstorm simply flew into the air and began showering hellfire down on Naruto, but he continued to move. Come on, Deathstorm, is that all you've got? Naruto said, antagonizing Deathstorm and making him even angry. People who were angry tended to make blunders. Naruto started racing around Deathstorm again, halting in different places before going again, and he was traveling so rapidly that he started making fuzzy afterimages of himself. Huh, neat new trick, Naruto mused as he continued to create hazy afterimages and provide Deathstorm with several targets to attack. He started launching fireballs but couldn't figure out which target to hit. Naruto sped up behind Deathstorm and launched a wind funnel, which knocked him through the air and landed with a thump on the sidewalk. Deathstorm managed to climb back to his feet despite hitting the pavement from a 20-foot drop, albeit with bruises and wounds on his skull. Naruto smashed him into the wall, causing it to fracture, before he could fly away. Deathstorm grabbed Naruto by the shoulder and threw him against the wall before lighting his hands on fire and attempting to burn his face. When Naruto spotted the quantum splicer on his chest and had an idea, he held him back as he felt the intensity of Deathstorm's fire. Must be nice having all that power, but what about Martin Stein? Naruto inquired. He doesn't talk much anymore, Deathstorm smirked as he approached. Perhaps we should let him out then, Naruto said, letting Deathstorm clutch his shoulder and neck and touch the quantum splicer despite the tremendous heat and burns. He rotated the face dial and pressed a few buttons, allowing the 4 nodes to retreat to the central component. Naruto kicked Deathstorm back after kneeing him in the gut. No. Deathstorm rushed to use the quantum splicer to stop whatever was happening, but it was too late. Deathstorm's body began to shimmer and flash crimson before separating into his 2 human components, Professor Martin Stein and Ronnie Raymond. No. No. Ronnie exclaimed as he noticed the professor curled up in fetal position on the ground and the quantum splicer on the roadway. Before he could react, Naruto smacked him across the face and knocked him out. Deathstorm was a crappy name anyway, Naruto remarked as he approached the Earth 2 version of Professor Stein, who appeared to have not been out in years. Professor Stein. Naruto stretched out to touch him, but he backed up and flinched. Please, no more. Please, no more. Professor Stein, it's over, Naruto told him as he took the quantum splicer and held it up for him to see. You're now free. Professor Stein peered out from his hands, much like a victim rescued from a serial killer or confined in a cellar. He was terrified, traumatized, and unaware of what was going on. How? I have some experience with the quantum splicer, but don't worry. Your evil counterpart is out cold. Naruto indicated to Ronnie, who was face down on the sidewalk, and handed him the quantum splicer. You now have your life back. Professor Stein took the device with caution and glanced at Naruto. Are you the Flash? Naruto introduced himself, saying, "No, I'm not. Call me Impulse. Zoom wants you. He won't stop until he gets you. He's obsessed with speed," Stein grumbled as a crimson energy beam smashed the wall near them, revealing the scythe-wielding metahuman from the warehouse. "Go. Find the police and get to safety. Go." Naruto yanked him to his feet and motioned him forward. As Naruto supersped away, the armored scythe-wielding metahuman fired another energy beam that missed. "And what do they call you?" "The Grim Reaper." "Call me Rupture. It's time for you to die, Speedster." Rupture twirled his scythe and unleashed another energy blast, which Naruto repelled with a repulsor beam. The two blasts cancelled one another out, and the shockwave flipped them over. "Ah, I'm not doing that again," muttered Naruto as he saw Rupture leap into the air, his scythe raised above his head. As the scythe punctured the earth where he used to be, he immediately rolled out of the way. Rupture drew his scythe as Naruto kicked out his left leg and smacked him across the face with a left cross. Rupture swung his scythe and sliced, narrowly cutting Naruto's stomach in half if he didn't get out of the way, so Naruto did a kip up back to his feet. He then launched another energy blast, which Naruto deflected by grabbing the scythe and pushing it to the side, causing it to explode near a dumpster. As the energy buildup on the scythe began to burn the repulsor gauntlet, Naruto concentrated and activated his Speed Force armor. It counteracted the scythe's energy, so he brought his fist down and smashed the weapon in half. Naruto hit Rupture in the face after breaking his left arm and rendering Rupture's scythe useless. The Speed Force armor increased the punch's strength and speed while also adding lightning, sending Rupture flying through the air and crashing into a fence. Naruto instantly deactivated his Speed Force armor and removed his right repulsor gauntlet, which was beginning to flash from the damage done by Rupture's energy scythe. 3 down, 1 to go, Naruto murmured as he put on his goggles to search for Reverb. He couldn't see him yet, but they alerted him to the presence of a vibe metahuman nearby just before he was hit in the back by a vibrational blast and thrown headlong into a dustbin. Despite his head ringing like a church bell, he managed to climb to his feet and dodge another vibratory assault that shattered the trash can. Naruto ended up hitting the side of a building while holding his head and fighting through the rattling in his brain, which he did just in time for another vibrational explosion to send him flying through the building and crashing into a family's living room where a husband, wife, and daughter were watching television. "I'm sorry," Naruto grumbled as he gripped his side. "You might want to take a run." The family couldn't get out of the room fast enough as Naruto rose to his feet and dodged another vibrating explosion that obliterated the kitchen. Reverb then fired 2 consecutive vibrational blasts at the building, causing it to shake, rattle, and otherwise behave as if it were in the grip of an earthquake. Reverb planned to bring the building down in order to kill him and all the innocent people within. Naruto flew out of the building and slid on the ground, slide tackling his knees out from under him. With Reverb busy, his vibratory attack on the building came to a halt, and the structure was preserved. Reverb raised his palm to unleash another vibrational blast, but Naruto grabbed it and twisted his wrist, causing the blast to ricochet back into his face, smashing his goggles and knocking him out. Naruto approached Reverb and removed his gauntlets, as well as his shattered eyewear, and Reverb was a stupid name, too. Naruto apprehended Reverb, Killer Frost, Ronnie, and Rupture, as well as the other metas that ambushed him, and made an anonymous call to the CCPD to have them picked up. Soon after, the CCPD arrived in force, complete with tactical squads and everything. Detective Iris West oversaw everything, while CSI Barry Allen reviewed all of the evidence from the metahuman's attack and subsequent capture. "Lawton, notify the chief and inform Iron Heights that they'll have some new metahumans for roll call," Detective West said. "Roger that, partner," Detective Floyd Lawton said as he pulled out his phone to call CSI Barry Allen, who was still bagging evidence. "Barry, do you have any identification or forensic evidence on the mystery speedster?" she inquired. "No, there is no evidence, and the fire destroyed everything in the warehouse," Barry replied. "But I'll keep looking to see if I can find anything." "All right," Detective West said to the uniformed police as the CCPD SWAT unit loaded the metahumans into the armored carriage. Naruto was nearby on a rooftop, watching everyone. He'd picked up Ronnie and bandaged his leg wound. Iris is a detective, and Barry is a nerd. Huh. Naruto grumbled as Ronnie grabbed his leg and winced in pain. He was lucky the ice didn't sever any major arteries, or he'd be dead. How are you feeling? Like I got stabbed in the leg by my wife's doppelganger, but other than that, I'm fine, Ronnie explained. How about you? You're the one who took them all on. A few cuts, bruises, and burns, but I'll heal, Naruto said, looking at the charred remnants of their warehouse. It appears we'll need to find a new hideout, Ronnie said. What we need to do is make sure Reverb can't find us again, Naruto said, tapping his earphone. Gideon, have you mentioned a Viber metahuman? Please identify. A Viber metahuman possesses the ability to tap into the natural energies of reality, allowing them to connect with various vibrations of the multiverse and manipulate them for various effects. One such ability is dimensional awareness, giving them the ability to perceive events throughout space and time to observe or even track down an individual. What's she saying? Ronnie inquired. She's describing Reverb's abilities. Aside from the vibrational shockwaves, he's the one who tracked us down, Naruto explained. Gideon, is there any way to counteract Viber's ability to track us down? Calculating. Gideon took a few moments before she found something that might work. By adjusting the pulse emitted by the nanites you just created, they should be able to emit a distinct subsonic frequency that could render you invisible to a Viber. How certain are you of that? He said. As he pulled out the nanite dart, she said, 95.67% certain. Alright, Gideon. Sync with the nanites and do what you need to, Naruto said. One moment, Gideon said after approximately a minute of waiting. The nanites have been altered, and they will now emit the subsonic frequency pulse that will render you invisible to a Viber. Sorry, Ronnie, Naruto apologized as he stepped over to inject the nanites into his neck. Don't apologize. If it keeps us safe. Ronnie clenched his teeth as the nanites were injected into his body. Then count me in. Same here, Naruto said, injecting the remaining nanites into his neck in the hope that it would keep them from being tracked down. Okay, now what? Ronnie pondered. Naruto looked around to assess the situation. Ronnie was hurt, they were down to one icer shotgun and a bag of supplies, he was missing a repulsor gauntlet, and their hideout was on fire. It's time to rip the band-aid off, Naruto exclaimed. Let's go visit the folks. Star Laboratories' Dr. Wells, Minato, and Kushina were reading about the recent battle between the city's bad metahumans and the new speedster. Whoever he was, he took down 8 metahumans, including Deathstorm, Killer Frost, Reverb, and Rupture, and left them wrapped for the cops. It was unlike anything the Flash has ever done. So, you still think I shouldn't keep my hopes up? Minato smirked at Harrison. No one likes, and I warned you, Wells said. Oh, I don't know. I like them, Minato quipped. Wells simply shook his head and returned to his work. Harrison, this new speedster was able to take down not only Sand Demon and Atomic Skull, but 4 of the most dangerous metahumans in Central City. Metahumans that the police and the Flash have never been able to stop, Kushina assured. When the metahuman proximity warning went off, Minato remarked, now the problem is getting in contact with him. Metahuman proximity alarm, Harrison said as a whoosh of air swept into the room, revealing the blurred speedster standing nearby, supporting someone who appeared to be Deathstorm. Kushina, get back. Minato yanked his wife behind him. Harrison emerged from behind the desk as he, Minato, and Kushina examined the mystery speedster and the other man he was accompanying. Harrison Wells, I need your assistance, the speedster whispered quietly. What are you doing here? Harrison inquired. I need your help. I'm not here to hurt anyone, but I need your help to stop Zoom and get home. You're the speedster who's been circling the city, Minato explained. Yes, I am. Kushina inquired, do you work with the Flash? Not exactly. It's a complicated situation, but I need your help, as does my friend, the speedster said, referring to the man who resembled Deathstorm. We're not here to hurt you, despite his appearance, it's not what you think. Then how about you explain it? Do you really expect us to trust you? Harrison inquired. No, but I need your assistance, and you need mine to stop Zoom. Who are you? Inquired Kushina. They watched Ronnie nod at the blur before limping away and grabbing a nearby wall for support. The speedster's outfit stopped vibrating, allowing Minato, Kushina, and Harrison to view it, which was properly done 3 and just what a speedster would require. It has a distinct color scheme with the addition of a lightning bolt in the gear on the chest, but what caught their attention was the mask and spiky blonde hair on his head. When the speedster gently slid his hands up to his mask and removed it so everyone could see, there was a pause for everyone. "That's not possible," mumbled Minato. "It can't be." Kushina continued. Naruto removed his disguise and stared at his Harrison Wells and his parents' doppelgangers as objectively as he could. "My name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze from Earth 1, and I'm your son's doppelganger, and I need your help." To be continued.
That's it for this podcast. Thanks for listening to this video. If you did enjoy this video story, like, share, and subscribe for more. And thank you all for helping support. And have a great day.